Hello and welcome to the next episode of Why We Do It, these stories behind the stories in amateur sports. And today we have a great guest on the show with us, Dr. Helen Godfrey, also known as Helly. I almost mixed up Helen and Helly in the same sentence there. Helly is a GP, an educationalist, a mother, an age group GB aquathlete, and also a British Masters age group butterfly champion on more than one occasion. Helly, how are you doing?
I wondered how you're going to start there. I was like, oh, that sounds nice. I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Fantastic to have you on. And what we normally do, Helly, to get the whole thing going is we have a bit of fun because we ask our guests what they would choose if they could be sponsored by anyone. And that's because this is amateur sports. And generally, well, so far, let's say, no one's really even come close to having a sponsor. But I know this is a slightly different situation for you. So in an ideal world, Helly, and this is a leading question because I know where this answer is going to go. In an ideal world, who would your sponsor be?
Let's have a think. Oh, how lucky am I? I really feel lucky. I've had a few different sponsors through the years. Had a national brand before, the For Goodness Shakes one, and I'm lucky enough to be on the advisory team for Hoob. There we go. And yeah, and I've also got a local coffee sponsor called Sam Seb. He's called Michael. His coffee company's called Sam Seb. He's got a little coffee truck. There we go. There's Michael. So yeah, how lucky.
So yes, how lucky. Not often we have amateur athletes who are sponsored. You've actually had
in the middle.
You've had several sponsors, and indeed, this is a picture of you at one of the development centers for Hoob with Professor Hoob Tulane. I think his name is in the middle.
Yes,
he's not the founder.
Amazing, yeah.
He's not the founder of Hoob. I had to look this up. He's not the founder, but he's these movement scientist, isn't he, that they use?
Yeah. So Dean is on there. He's the founder. He's the one in the red t-shirt there, and that's who my friend is, and who owns the company Hoob. And we became really good friends. Like us, we chat about a lot of personal things as well as me advising on the age group side and the equipment. And this setup here was this year. And we got invited to test resistance on clothing. So like a wind tunnel for cycling, but this is for swimming. So I walked on poolside and I was like, oh, I'm Helly. And this gentleman in the middle said, oh, I'm Hoob. It's like, pardon? He's like, yeah, I'm Hoob. So this is Professor Hoob, who, he's Dutch. He's very, very humble. And this will make you laugh as well. Humble people are always like this. He mentioned his daughter's a swimmer, does backstroke, and was the world record holder for backstroke. It's like, sorry. So if everyone knows a swimmer called Kira Toussaint, that's his daughter. So yeah, that was amazing. And then obviously Dean's on the photo as well. And Hans was at the... there we go.
So I've thrown this up because you were just mentioning this, and I actually wasn't intending to bring it on, but because you mentioned it, I've thrown it on the screen. So right in the middle there, this is actually the
active
website.
Drag, exactly, yeah.
So this is the website for Hoob, and you can see who you're in amongst here. There's Dean and
it's crazy, isn't it?
Professor
Yeah, there's Hoob and Dean. Yeah,
and Hoob is his first name, which is interesting. And they obviously set up in 2011, and then there's the Brownlee brothers. So you're in good company, and then you get all the way down to I'm also particularly excited about the fact that I've forgotten his
South African
first name now off the top of my head, but Skumandi, the South African Skum, and I know his coach. So that's 2015 build up to the Olympics in Rio. But this is the thing, this machine here underwater. You've done this.
I did it, yeah. We set up in Derby. And my friend Steve, who you know as well, he came. He wanted people who were sort of age group, but so strong swimmers. So there was one of the elite triathletes, Tom Bishop, there, and a couple of other people too. So they were trying to get a big range of the testing with the drag. So we wore different wetsuits and different swim skins. So we'd have to go, and then they would tell us something like, "Oh, try and get 25 seconds for this length." So the amount of drag it would take to do that. So your hand touches each of the paddles, and there's resistance on it that's picked up by Hoob's friend Hans, and he was there with the computer. Yeah, it's just pretty amazing. And then they said, okay, try 24 seconds, 23 seconds. So they were trying to get what, with each individual, what the different, resistance was and how much force, because obviously you need less force if you've got less resistance. So at the 25 seconds, or whatever. So, yeah. And I think because we've swam our whole lives, we were pretty consistent. It's quite a fun game, actually. It's like, I'll try and get 24 seconds, try and get 20 seconds, try and get 18 seconds. So that was really...
So I love the fact it's called the MAD system. That's brilliant. But it stands for measuring active drag. But I think it's actually quite appropriate. You're a little bit mad, Helly, like some of us. And I think it's perfect that they got you in at Hoob to do the MAD system, measuring active drag. And
I think they are too. Yeah, I think we find each other eventually, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah, we all seek each other out. So absolutely brilliant that you got a chance to do that. And you were talking about Steve here on the right. So this is you guys on that day. Already showed this picture, but I'll pop it up again.
Yeah, he's obviously one of our little gang, isn't he?
Yeah.
Our training buddy.
And through all of that, you are sponsored by Hoob. So I can't do the who would you like to be sponsored, because there you are. You are sponsored by them. So good for you. We'll also talk about Yellow Jersey a little bit later on. That's quite amusing too. And you've had other sponsors, before. So we'll come back to all that. But let's go back to the very beginning. Young Helly. We take most of our guests back to the beginning as childhood and sports, and tell us where you were, what you're doing, and what sport was like for you as a kid, and kind of how that developed through your childhood into young adulthood.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Trying to think back. I was a water baby, and my mum always tells a funny story about when I was born in the maternity place. They could tell which baby was crying and screaming, and it was me, but it was because I was being taken out of the water when they were bathing me. So I loved being in the water even from being born. And mum and dad used to take me swimming when I was very, very little. I was just really lucky having the parents I've got and the family I've got now. They just always believed in me. My dad used to say something to me, and you don't realize as a kid what your parents are telling you until you're older. And he said, there's nothing in the world that you can't do. And I think they just believed in me. So having that from being a young age is lovely. And that's what I try and do, with my children and the people who I take on, as friends, and trying to sort of help and inspire them. So yes, I swam competitively from a young age. But the driving factor for me was, since I was about 2, I wanted to be a doctor. So everything was geared up, sort of working backwards. Some people get to A levels, they don't know what to do, but I knew, from being a very young age, what SATs to do, what GCSEs to do, what A levels to do. And I didn't really want anything to get in the way of that. So I was really active. I used to ski as well. I don't know if you know that. I used to ski at quite a high level. I used to race. I was in the Northwest racing squad. But I swam because swimming pools around the corner from where we lived. So I was at Clitheroe Dolphins, and my brother was there too. And then at school, we did quite well. We had the house swimming and things like that because we were always in the same house together. So I swam, and then I stopped swimming really. I had about 25 years off when I got to about 16 or so.
How old were you when you stopped swimming?
About 16, I'd say.
Okay.
I was only sort of doing club level type stuff. And then I stopped maybe in my teens just because, I was revising GCSEs, things got in the way. I kept swimming. I always kept fit and active. I was always at the gym doing aerobics. And then I did the Great North Run because I was at Newcastle University doing medicine. And I'd seen this Great North Run year after year in the city, that I was at university. So I thought, I'll do that. I raised money for diabetes. And it was, I don't know if you'll know these days, but it was in the days where you applied by post and I got a number in the post. And obviously it's much more difficult now with ballots and things. So I did that with no that's the only half marathon I've done. I'd only run 3 miles beforehand, so I hadn't really trained properly. I wouldn't give that as I wouldn't recommend that as a training schedule.
So when you're young, you can just about do anything. So I mean, just out of interest, I got so many questions coming out of what you've just been saying, but just on that one quickly, what was it like running a half marathon when you'd only run 3 miles before?
I was super fit, and 23, was I 23? Yeah, 23. So stupid, I think. I remember hitting 6 miles, which is obviously 10K, and thinking, oh, what a nice distance this is. And then, of course, I died. So, yeah, I had a friend who wasn't a friend before. It was a friend of a friend who started running with me, and they just stayed with me this whole way through, and I got round. So yeah, I think I just kind of slowed down towards the end. I think I'm about 2 hours 20. I can't even check because I don't think the records go back that far. I was trying to look once. So yeah, and obviously there wasn't chip timed and stuff. So yeah. So yeah.
But you finished, and somewhere in a box is a medal to prove it.
Exactly.
I've got to go back to a couple of things. One was, you said from the age of 2 you knew you wanted to be a doctor. I don't think I can remember anything before I was 3 or 4. What was that about? What's going on there?
I have no idea. I do know that I hyper focus on things, and that even when it turned out that, and I ended up being a doctor, and it was generally the right thing for me. I remember people say, oh, you have to work hard. And I didn't know if they meant work hard to get there or work hard once I'm there, but it's both, isn't it? And some things just came really naturally to me. I remember doing my biology A level, and I don't know if we've lived another life before or not, but it all seemed to make sense, learning, biology, and I absolutely loved it. My daughter Amelie's now doing A-level biology, and I think they just roll their eyes at how geeky I am, but I'm like, oh, let's do some flashcards, let's do some revision. And she's driving now, but I kind of missed the school run when I was driving and we were chatting about things, because even in my job now I do a lot of psychology, and she's doing a psychology A-level too. So it's just something that I feel is part of me. And when I was very little, I just wanted to be a doctor. I had mum and dad have got pictures of me, with little doctors dressing up kit and things like that. And yeah, that's always what I always wanted to do.
So it's amazing that you were that young, you decided you're going to do that. And I mean, I guess it's one thing saying I'm going to be a doctor. It's another thing actually getting there. So you channeled your efforts. You've clearly got the capacity for it, and you get there. I'm just want to come back to two things that you talked about: hyper focus, and you talked about psychology. One thing I'm noticing through talking to lots of different people on this podcast is, particularly in multi-sport. So we talk to folks from lots of different sports, but with my background, particularly recently, there's been a lot of triathlon and a lot of multi-sport stuff. And this subject of hyper focus, or even kind of neurodiversity, kind of comes up quite a bit. And it seems that, just anecdotally from the chats I've been having, that multi-sport and aquathlon and triathlon and duathlon and all these things seem to become a kind of a safe space for people who tend to hyperfocus or maybe are neurodiverse. From a GP point of view, or even from a psychology or educationalist in health point of view, does any of that resonate? Do you recognize any of that?
It's a lot. Yeah, it's the first space I felt safe in was triathlon. It's open to everyone. Literally anyone can turn up. It's welcoming. The club I'm with now, they're just so lovely and kind. And a lot of what I do, probably get onto it. I know I was a GP trainer for 10 years, and I do a lot of education, teaching GPs who want to be trainers to be trainers. And there's educational theory that goes with that. I taught the doctors the doctors who want to be GPs in their teaching as well. So and supported them as well. So it's a lot more recognized now, the neurodiversity, but the more I learned about it and the more I learned to help people, with screening, the more I'm noticing, and I don't have a diagnosis, but there's a lot that makes sense to me now, even with, hypersensitivity. Dean from Who laughs at me because we're very similar. And I said something about, I'm not sure if I'm neurodiverse. He went, "You're not kidding me, are you?" It's like the first time he met me. And I think neurodiversity in high level sport is I just think, so many, you can look around and you can, I'm not saying you can spot it, but it's not surprising that there are a lot of people in our sport who are neurodiverse. And I think some things are really difficult. I've failed over and over and over again. And people don't see me as a failure. And in fact, I don't know if we were going to chat about it, but one of the educational workshops I did was about using failure to succeed and about mindset. And that's exactly it in our sport that we do, in life in general. So it's a lot of it's about mindset. And I totally agree with you. You'll have seen it yourself, and you'll be able to probably pick out people and some of our friends, who maybe wouldn't be neurotypical.
The more we talk about it on the podcast with different people, the more obvious it's becoming. And I'm the same. I think hyperfocus was, I'm not an expert.
I know.
I don't know much about it. I don't know much about the subject. I'm just hearing and exploring and discussing with different people and their own experiences. But I definitely hyperfocus. This podcast is probably part of that.
Absolutely. I've got a friend called Ellie. I started training with her when she was 15. She's similar age to my kids. She's 21 now, and she has autism, and she chats to me a lot about things, and we're so similar. I was saying that maybe the reason I would get a diagnosis would be not for me now, because I've managed to achieve, because of the support I've had with friends and family and, various things lining up, but just to show that what you can do if, with the right support and to help other people. So she would send me sort of screening tools and things, and it's like, oh gosh, look there. But it's, definitely. She got into age group as well. I encouraged her. She used to be a sprinter, and then we started training together. And then she did duathlon and won a medal at the Europeans. So I encourage her. I encourage quite a lot of people into our sport. It's
I've noticed,
also with my fun things that I do.
I've seen that. So I think a final point on that is that it's the positivity of it. I think that's becoming quite fun and exciting, because perhaps years gone by, there's a stigma around that kind of thing, and actually, the more we engage with the subject on these kinds of discussions, the more you realize how much positive outcomes there are for people, finding a place to be themselves that's safe, and actually all of us people together is the kind of phrase we've heard before. In my club, I've got a friend who we have a discussion around this quite a bit, and we'll be at a social activity, and he'll say, "Look around, look at everyone. We're all just people that are the same all together here, just." Being safe together, and it's so there's a huge positive kind of piece out of that.
I sometimes joke about it as a super skill, but you can only have that super skill if you're supported. My family just support me. Phil, you've met quite a few times. He just supports me. I think they've always just seen me. I'm not going to say it's a little bit odd, but you'll know what I mean. And it's me, isn't it? And I've just adapted through the years with things that I know about my personality, and I've adapted. And some things, thinking outside the box, that's where you get the ideas from, isn't it? I think I might have said to you that my supervisor, my line manager, she's very, very structured, and I'll be talking about all these ideas, and then she'll kind of like be rolling them into little balls of yarn and making it look like I'm really structured. So she really likes that side of me, but then also helps me to become a little bit more structured with the way I'm doing things. And I have a friend called Andrea, who is she's a GP, and I used to do teaching with her, and I just learned so much. I didn't know that all these things were a thing. Like, even having soft clothing. I just, cutting labels out of clothes. And the more I'm trying to help other people, and the more I'm learning about it to help other people, the more you do notice, don't you? And the more you can apply things to different people. So,
Okay, so Helly, we joked before we started that you and I could talk for several hours on most subjects, and here we are. We're going to have to be slightly disciplined and keep to the track here. So let's go back to the that was fascinating and really enjoyable add on unexpectedly there. Let's go back to you. So you're at uni. You've just done the half marathon. You were a kind of, since childhood, strong swimmer. You stopped swimming. You're running. And then what happens after that from uni onwards? How does your sports develop from there?
I kept really active. When I was at sort of the final couple of years of university, there was a gym you could almost see it from where my house was. So around my revision, I used to I'm a really early bird, so I'd get up at 6 and do a few hours. I work best in the morning, and then I would go to the gym. I'd go to spinning classes. People hadn't heard of spinning back in 2001. And again, I think I just like that routine. I mean, we love our routines, in our sport, don't we? And so I stayed quite fit. And then starting work was quite difficult with shifts, doing 12-hour shifts, doing a week of nights. And then I actually met Phil quite young, and I had children quite young as well. So a lot gets in the way of, like things are different now about, I tried to stay active, whilst I had the kids. I used to go swimming, and a friend used to come with me when I was breastfeeding Amelie, and I would get there. I would be able to swim for 20 minutes, be out, showered, and then she would have her while I'd swim. And then I used to take the kids everywhere with me as well. So, they've been really active growing up as well. So, yeah, it's I dipped in and out of things. I started, I never thought I'd do open water because I'm always feeling cold. And obviously, it's cold over here. And the triathlon club I'm with now, I remember they do a 70.3 called the Cleveland Steelman. And this year, in 2013, they did a double Steelman. So it was an Ironman distance. And I just realized that was the first open water race I ever did. And I'd only got into open water 3 weeks before. I did it as a team with two friends. One cycled, one ran. And I said, should we do this? And they're like, do you not think you should get into the open water first to see if you can do it? So like, okay then. So there's a lake just around the corner from where I am here. And so I went and did 1 lap the first week. Then I did 2 laps the week after. And then I did 3 laps the week after that. And then the week after was the race, and it happened to be 4 laps of a different lake, which we fondly refer to as Hellyton. It's called Ellerton Lake, but we call it Hellyton because it's just where I swim so much. It's a freshwater lake. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think you probably know this about me already. I just feel like I belong in the water. I get into the water and it just feels like I'm meant to be there. And anytime I think, should I go swimming? The answer is always yes. It always makes me feel better. So yeah. So that was my first open water race. So I did a little bit when the kids were little, and then I was a GP partner. The kids were at after school clubs, at sports clubs. We were all over the place, juggling. And so I kept my hand in a little bit. I was doing park runs and things. And then we went skiing with the kids, like from when they were about maybe 7. And maybe Chloe would have been about 9. But then I snapped my ACL in 2017.
While skiing.
Yeah. And I'd skied my whole life. I'd raced. I was a ski instructor. When I was a medical student, I used to be a ski instructor at Silsworth at Sunderland. That was my Saturday job. So I was quite high level. I was in the Northwest Training Squad when I was growing up. So I did do a lot of skiing and I skied for 30 years with no major injury. I did break my arm when I was 10, but apart from that. And this was just a slow motion injury. I was stopping. The snow was really deep. And I've got really bendy arms and legs, and it was too slow for my feet to pop out of the bindings. So I kept twisting, and my legs stayed where they were, and I heard it pop, which still makes me feel sick thinking about it. Yeah.
Just the description of that made my stomach.
Yeah, sorry about that. So my actual sport that I do, the GB stuff, came after this. Believe it or not, I think I was 39.
So that was 2017. Did you say you did that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how long was the recovery from that?
They say 6 to 9 months. I had it repaired by a brilliant surgeon, sort of 12 weeks later. And they used a part of my the patella tendon, so a little bit of bone from the patella tendon, and then a bit of the tibia. So bone tendon bone's called, and they put that inside sort of keyhole. And they built me up with physio, and I, like we've been chatting about, they told me what I could do. So I did everything up to that. And I'm a really good patient. I listen and I do as I'm told. So my recovery was brilliant. And I had the most super strong legs you could imagine. And I started running with a friend called Vicky. And then we were doing 10Ks and things by the following summer, which I'd never done before, really. And then I think it was February 2019, I managed to get under 25 minutes for a park run. It's like, oh, wow. And then that's when I realized I had the aquathlon potential for GB. So
had you been,
that year sort of working out.
Sorry, had you been looking at that before that? So your swimming is obviously smashing it way inside the. So this is for folks who aren't into this. It's the British Triathlon qualification requirements for joining the age group GB team to go to European and World Championships, mostly in Europe, but they have been in further places like Canada and Australia for the Worlds. And were you looking at this already? And had you seen what the qualifications were? And were you trying to get there? Or how did you discover this?
When I first ever started in 2013, I just did it for a little bit, and then I came back out of it, obviously, because, you know, with the kids growing up and with my job and things. But so I knew I was never strong at cycling. I didn't really like it, which is another story. And my running, again, was all right. I think I was about maybe, you know, sort of 27, 28 minutes, you know, doing the park runs and things when I was running well. So I just knew I was a strong swimmer. And so I hadn't really thought that much about it. And it was only when my run, and I don't think aquathlon was that popular back then either. I think I know it's been around, but
aquathlon is swim, run without the bike.
That's right.
Traditionally, it's supposed to be, in real terms,
run, swim, run.
Run, swim, run, but
yeah.
It isn't.
But we're too cold.
It's hardly ever that. They get the swim out the way and let you run the full.
Yeah, Northern Hemisphere means you have to wear a wetsuit most of the time. So so
you can't get into a wetsuit. Yeah, they can't. You can't do a run and get into a wetsuit and swim. So and then have to get out of it to run again. So they just generally do swim, run. But here's a picture. I'm just going to throw it up, because I've got a bunch of pictures of you. Might as well start getting through them. So this is you in Menin in 2023. This is a fair bit down the path. That you. I know your first one was in 2021 in Spain. So this is in Flanders, So yeah, just give us the getting into it, the qualifying, and then obviously COVID and all that. Talk us through that.
Similar to yourself, yeah. Well, when you say to me, why do you do it? I think I said this is the picture that springs to mind. A lot of people love this picture, and just my face on there. That's just pure happiness. I love what we do. But it's not just this. I was saying to you, when we've chatted previously, that it's not just the end goal. It's not just the end goal of doing the World Championships, doing the European Championship. It's the build up to it, everything, a park run with your friends, going for a little run. I used to run with my children. And my daughter Chloe, I used to sort of take her running, but sometimes she just likes having her headphones in and sort of running with me. But just catching up, having a coffee, running slowly, running quickly, swimming. I like to make a whole celebration of it. Some of my friends who used to go sort of open water swimming, they would just swim, go home. It's like, oh no, we need coffee, flapjacks, everything. So I like to make everything into almost like a celebration. But I think that's part of my personality. And some friends have called it the Helly Sparkle. So I like to just bring a bit of excitement and fun into everything that we're doing. And it's genuine, though. I actually find this fun. So we met. I think you were my first GB friend.
Before you get into that, I'll take this picture down, because I just want to finish by saying this was in Flanders in 2023.
Yes.
You've got a massive smile on your face, but that is before you found out, I think I'm correct in saying this, this is the big smile before you found out that half the field got sick from that race, didn't they? Or was that another one?
Oh, that was me included.
Yeah. And it was at that race,
so ill for so long. Yeah, with that dirty,
Yeah,
dirty
I couldn't
canal.
make that one, and I was gutted. I can't remember why now.
And we were all gutted, and we did make it.
And you got there, and then I heard about everyone being sick afterwards, and I was like, dodge a bullet on that one. So yeah, go back to what you were about to say there about 2020, 2019, and getting in the team, and then COVID and all that.
Yeah, because we qualified. So 2019, I just read the information, what you had to do, and I didn't tell anyone. I don't tend to tell people what I'm doing, apart from I've got just a few very close friends who believe in me. They believe in me more than I believe in myself, to be honest. And although I do a lot of believing in other people, it's you need this, they call it self-efficacy, where you believe in yourself. And I'm lucky that I've got people who really, really believe in me. So, I trained, and I ended up doing a local aquathlon. And it wasn't a very big aquathlon, but I won my age group. And I spoke to a lady called Verity, who was the team manager of everything back then at British Triathlon. I'm good friends with her now. And she was like, oh, yeah, you won your age group, So it was like, oh, how strange. Then I applied, and that was one of the most surreal things, getting a qualification to do the World Championship, which was going to be, and the Euros as well. So I think the Worlds was supposed to be in Amsterdam and in Almere, sorry, and the Euros was in Walchsee in Austria.
In Austria,
and that's when I became friends with you, and we were going to meet up at the airport, all sorts with Phil and with Rona, and and then it didn't happen.
It was all online.
That was 2020, and
we were all buddies online because everyone was getting excited and getting into it, and then bang, the whole thing ended. And Walshy was a no go, and Amsterdam was a no go, and we just had to wait, didn't we? And we were just sitting there, kind of all locked and ready to do our first GB races, and we couldn't. And even then, the pools closed, couldn't even train, and we thought that the races might be on, but we couldn't train. And then the races weren't on. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, delay after delay after delay, somewhere around about September 2021, they suddenly said Europeans are on in 6 weeks in Spain. Go.
I got COVID that day. That day I got COVID, and then that's when we chatted properly for the first time, I think, because I got COVID and I was poorly, and they announced, oh, by the way, we're doing this in 6 weeks' time. It's like, what? So yeah, I had to not train because I wanted to protect my heart, protect everything. And then we came up with a plan, didn't we? We were looking at how you can train very gently on heart rate and getting to the world champs. Yeah. And that was interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, because my coaching platform was really, I forgot about that. My coaching platform was very much into training through and after COVID, and COVID was such an unknown thing for many practitioners. So, and there was a lot of caution about not overdoing it coming back. So yeah, I remember talking about that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. That was the first time we FaceTimed each other, because you were helping me, saying, because I think Rona was going to do a marathon, and she'd become unwell, and we were coming up with what we could do to
I'm popping this one up because this is Ibiza. I can't remember what year. This is a world champ.
Look how short you are.
I know. Well, actually, have you noticed the steps? I was quite put off by how short I was in this picture until I noticed that our good friend Fergus on the left is 3 steps up from me.
This I'm not actually that short.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm not actually that short. I love this picture.
So there's a few things in this picture that's quite interesting. One is it's a good bunch of people. Steve and Fergus there. Secondly, it's Ibiza World Champs. I got COVID the week before this race, and I was absolutely devastated, and my swim was horrendous because of it, but actually my run wasn't too bad. But again, I was getting lots of advice from my coach about how to manage COVID, but a week before I picked it up. So we've all got the COVID in the race stories. But the other
absolutely, that was Steve's first ever championship.
That's right.
We trained the year before, and this was his first ever one.
First time we met. And what I find very amusing, what I find very amusing in this picture is you're sitting there right now in your Hoob t-shirt. In this picture, it's me and Fergus in the Hoob wetsuits, and not you. So we won't let.
You obviously inspired me into wearing Hoob. My first ever wetsuit was a Hoob. And I have lots of Hoob wetsuits now.
So the COVID thing was a big part of it, and then the rest is history. We go to Spain. We have fantastic races there, and I mean, how many has it been since then? A load. Flanders, we saw the picture, but many other fun journeys. Let's for sake of time, can we switch to swimming and masters swimming? Tell us about you coming back, I guess, into swimming for all sorts
after
of
25 years.
And then how does that lead to
Steve
masters?
On that photo was somebody who helped me. I know I said to you I didn't want to talk about my friend Mark who died, but I had 3. I used to call them my 3 amigos. So there's Martin, Steve, and Mark. And all this time, they were my biggest backers. They still are. I know Mark's died, but they just believe in me, and I just don't believe them. Like, they're saying, oh, you can do this, you're amazing, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. And Martin, he's a sports scientist and he does psychology. He's helped me when I've done, like the treadmill test, the VO2 max and stuff. And they just, like I said, they believe in me more than I believe in myself, which is something I've tried to take forward to help other people, because I know what that means. So Martin introduced me to Steve because they were part of a swimming club, and obviously it was COVID times, it was 2020. So I think I open water swam with them, and then I joined the club. So I joined in 2020, but obviously, as you know, then there was a big gap for 6 months when nobody could swim again. So I think 2021 got back in the pool, and I only joined the Masters to help with the GB stuff, with the open water swimming, because that would bring me on with the swimming.
And it works. Then, I did the same thing, and it definitely works.
But I got the bug with the swimming as well. And so I think I did my first gala in 2022. And that was really fun. And then I did a couple more. And then I did my first nationals that year. And then I think it was early 2023, I decided that I wanted to make butterfly my main stroke that I was doing. So yes, I actually hadn't been racing very long. I think I only started racing in the 2022. And I was training maybe 5 or 6 times a week. Yeah, it's just a way of life. I just absolutely love my training and, sort of running as well around it. Yeah, I definitely think swimming's a big part of what I do. And obviously the aquathlete.
And then where did the swimming competing come in from, the specific swimming competing in the Masters races? And let's get into the racing that you did and the wins you had, because I cannot believe the race you swim in Masters and that you win. So tell us about getting into competing at Masters.
Yeah, so the first swimming gala I did was in early 2022. And then I did a couple more, and I was just enjoying it. There are a lot, you'll know our age groups. There are some very, very strong people, doing a lot of very fast times, breaking records and things. So I don't rate myself amongst these people. But there's not much of a gap either in terms of, there's a lot of people doing it. So the lesser popular race is the 200 fly, but it's still quite popular. And that's in a 25-meter pool, that's 8 lengths of
short
butterfly.
Course,
yeah, short course, 4 lengths with a long course. It's very different doing long course, actually, which I hadn't realised. I now understand, because people think you're a little bit mad doing this, and
I think you're completely bonkers, by the way. I was actually at swimming training last night, and I was thinking about this podcast, and we were going to be talking about this. And I was doing 200 pull last night, which was quite hard work because we were pushing it quite hard, straight into 100 IM, which of course the first 25 is butterfly, and it just about killed me. And I was thinking, how do you race 8 lengths of butterfly in a 25-meter pool, or 4 lengths in a 50 pool? How do you do that?
It's so weird, because I train for it, so I practice and I practice. And in your head, a lot of people say it is psychological. Obviously, a lot of it is your fitness to do this particular thing as well. But I always say to myself, you can't go off too slowly. You cannot go off too slowly, because, any other butterfly swimmers out there just know that you can just die with front crawl or another stroke. You can kind of get there and finish. But if your arms start to die on fly, there's just no going back, and it's quite easy to get disqualified. And there's like this little dinosaur arms thing. Steve, our friend, actually had won the British 200 fly. I think it was 2023, and it was quite funny because it was just him and this other man in his age group next to each other, and from the flags, he wasn't moving. And they were both the same. It was basically who was not going to die the most before they got to the wall. And this is sort of thing, like a little dinosaur, T-Rex arms coming over. So I haven't had that. It's usually my breathing that goes. I normally swim every 2 strokes. Every 2 strokes. And I know I just do what my body tells me to. If I have to breathe every 1 stroke, that's what I'm doing. And it's about keeping as flat as you can in the water, because as soon as you get tired, you start to sink, your hips sink down, and it's just a fun thing. I don't know.
I was going to say, Steve was crawling to the finish, but I'm thinking you can't crawl in butterfly. There is no crawling. There is running, and
he was
jogging.
Still British champ, so people could take the mick all they want. It's like, yeah, but were you British champ? No, you were not. He was. So yeah.
In butterfly, there's the equivalent of sprinting, and there's the equivalent of jogging, and then there's sinking. There's nothing else after that. Just getting your arms out of the water just becomes almost impossible when you're completely gassed in that. So I think it's amazing that in multi-sport, and particularly the two, so duathlon or aquathlon, where it's two of the sports. What you tend to find is that there are incredibly fast runners or incredibly fast swimmers who can't do the other one, so they stick to their key sport. And there's people who are quite good at both, and they put them together, and it comes together well. But you're actually an anomaly to that. You're a really, really good swimmer, and you won the British Masters age group gold medal twice for 200-meter butterfly, and so relatively speaking, you are at the top in the age group for swimming, and you brought that into aquathlon. So that's not that unusual, but it's not the norm.
Yeah, weirdly, it was the other way around. I started in the aquathlon, and then I got into the butterfly swimming. So I don't know which foot came first, the chicken or the egg. But I think I've said this again to you, that lots of things lead on to others, don't they? You know, when you have opportunities, it just leads on to the next opportunity. And for me, it's being around amazing people. I've obviously mentioned Dean, and I've mentioned Michael from San Seb. He is just amazing for our community. He looks after people. He's always helping to raise money. He did a litter picking thing. He's a very popular person because he is so kind, and people look up to him. And just he runs all sorts of programs to help local people. And I wasn't sure if he was born in Africa or not. His parents lived in Zambia before he was born over here. He's just been to Zambia to see where the coffee that he gets, where it's come from. So we've just been following his trip doing that. So I love doing what I do because meeting different people.
So time is absolutely flying. A couple of things we want to try and get in, and there's loads more things you've done. So let's try and get to a few of them before the pumpkin time arrives and run out of time here. So you mentioned spin earlier on that you were doing when you were younger. So cycling, spin cycling. You mentioned bikes, not really your thing, but you got involved through British Tri in some ambassadorial stuff. So tell us how this comes about, because yellow jersey is a cycling brand.
Yeah, this was so funny. So I've been very close with British Triathlon from the very beginning. Actually, they did a few stories on me for the British Triathlon News type thing about my journey and things, and qualifying for age group and things. So I have chatted with them, done interviews with them and things before. Then I was encouraged to apply for the ambassador role. It's the first time I had an ambassador role in 2023. And I can't remember how many hundreds of people applied for it, but I got shortlisted. And then I actually had a phone call saying, "You do know it's yellow jersey and British Triathlon, don't you? So do you think you can start cycling?" So I'm pretty proud of myself that as an aquathlete, I had got this far and got shortlisted for that. So I did start cycling again as a beginner, and I still don't think cycling's for me at all. But yeah, it was amazing. I got picked as one of the first ambassadors in 2023. There were 6 of us. We're still all friends. And that just led on to other things as well, sort of meeting people. And the reason I got picked, I was told, is just because I think I try and inspire so many people into it. I believe in them. I must have got about maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 people into our sport. I didn't realize, but people have messaged me saying that they only did something because I told them that I believe that they could do it. They said, "Oh, you said I could do it, so I had to go." And that's just lovely, isn't it? When you hear something like that, because I'm genuine when I say to somebody, "I think you can do it," and you talk about things, and sometimes behind the scenes, like, "Oh, well, you could try this, or you could do that and the other." And so I think that must have come across, which is why I got chosen for the role.
So that brings in the kind of socializing piece of it, because you sent me a couple of notes before, and one of the things I've highlighted here is that under the "why I do it" piece is that it's about the people you meet and the friends that you make along the way, as well as all the other things that you've mentioned. But it's about the people, isn't it, for you? And it's about the friends and the camaraderie.
Yeah, they're my 3 amigos there on the right there, and that was my birthday a few years ago. So yeah, I always like dressing up on my birthday, and it's funny, isn't it, when you can convince friends to do the same? And that's Ellie, actually, the friend I was talking about, the 21-year-old who does the duathlon. So yeah, it is amazing, yeah. And the people I meet. So I mean, even like yourself, you know, I feel like I'm a good judge of character, and we've been friends. You know, you've met all of my family. You met Chloe, my older daughter. You've met Emily, my younger daughter, and totally, you know, one in Edinburgh, one in Newcastle. You've met Phil a few times. I've met your daughter Lorna, and you know, and some of your other children. I met her in Ibiza, then I met her again in Newcastle. So yeah, I feel like you do gather some really, really like-minded friends. And, you know, like coming to your ball, I always knew you were a good egg, but,
Okay, stop it.
you know,
Stop
and I know
it.
you joke about not being humble, but, you know, there's my little one, Emily. And yeah, that was a few weeks ago, wasn't it? So you invited me to that. And so I looked into that, and it's like, wow, you founded a charity 25 years ago to help children. It's like, and yeah, you joke about not being humble, but you know, we didn't know about that, did we? And that, it didn't surprise me. I was surprised because I didn't know, but it didn't surprise me. And it's like, yeah, that cements the fact that you're a very good egg. And, you know, we're very close. We talk about all sorts, we overshare, don't we? Talk about health things. I help you when I can, you know, in summertime when you weren't sure what was going on with your leg and things, I was keeping in touch there, and you're like, yeah, thanks for keeping in touch. And so, yeah, I think we do just look after each other, don't we? And we do form some really lovely friendships.
And having a GP in the friendship gang is pretty handy, to be fair.
Yeah, I just know quite a lot about a lot of you, don't I now?
yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully not too much. Yeah, there's professional boundaries, and if we need serious help, we should be getting a proper appointment.
Oh, definitely. I'm like, yeah, you
yeah.
need to see somebody about that.
Yeah.
There's no lines
Absolutely.
crossed, is there?
No, exactly. So we're into the final kind of stages. I want to throw this up because we talked about this earlier on. This is one of your other sponsors. This is so take us through this and talk us about the story.
That's
about
you can see my cup there, sunset.
Yeah. Talk us through. It's also on the counter, that cup there. So let's talk about the story of this link, and also how this led to the portrait thing.
Yeah, that was so bizarre. It's like, so the portrait thing was I've known Michael for years, and he sponsors me, supports me. And again, he's just a lovely man who helps the community, does litter picking. His daughter's very young. She must be about 8 years old. And she does a lot of trying to help people as well, and initiatives, and her parents really support her with that. Just a really good kid. And I remember he asked me, he said, oh, have a look at this. And they're doing people-powered stories of the River Tees. So I was like, okay. So I had a look at it. And then just as I was looking into it, a lady called Claire, who is a curator at Mima Museum, our local museum, contacted me, and she said she'd been chatting to Michael. And I think, like I said, a lot of things lead to a lot of things. I think I'd been on the radio with our friend Gary Phillipson, who does the BBC Tees. He's friends with Michael too, about, might have been one of the champs we were doing. I think maybe the world champs or something. He interviewed me at the airport, and so it's all linked together, sort of being friends with people. And so I think she'd heard me on the radio with Gary and Michael, and then so she contacted me and said, oh, they're looking at stories of the River Tees. So there was a Brazilian photographer called Gilmar Ribeiro, and he was taking photos of people with their stories. So obviously Michael's his little coffee van is down at the Tees Barrage, and he's very part of the community there. The different people, you know, some people go for a walk there for their mental health, and some people grew up there. There were lots and lots of different reasons for why the river is important. So my story was obviously, that's where I train. I run there most days. I was swimming in the Tees as well. I swim more at the Hellyton Lake now, but, you know, swim at the Tees. And so that was my story. So they did a little write-up about me and why I, love the river, and the photo was put up at Mima Art Gallery. So I remember it was my dad's birthday, and I think this was 2023.
So
and we went and had a look at it.
Mima Art Gallery, where's that?
That's in Middlesbrough,
right.
And it was in conjunction with the National Portrait Gallery in London.
Yep.
And then a year later, they chose about 10 of the photos to be showcased at the National Portrait Gallery in London. And yeah, mine was one of the ones that was chosen. So that's a little bit surreal. there's Larry's cocktail bar on the ground floor, and it was just through there, the atrium bit at the bottom. It's called the Spotlight. So it was there for, I think it was 10 weeks. The people powered stories. You can see some of the other ones in the background. So Chloe had just gone to university, and we're trying to come up with a date that we could all do it. So she jumped on a train at Manchester. We jumped on a train. We all gathered in London, the four of us, and we managed to go and see. We actually went to the cocktail bar, and then we managed to see it at the National Portrait Gallery. So this was that night. So yeah, it's very. I think one of my friends, James, was like, kings, queens, and Helly in the National Portrait Gallery. So it's a really surreal thing, isn't it? It's really exciting, and you wouldn't expect opportunities like this to come along with what we do, would you? So
hang on,
to Michael. That was. Yeah.
I have to call you out on that one. You wouldn't expect opportunities like this to come along. Well, that's the rest of us. We wouldn't expect opportunities like that to come along. But for you, Helly, in the few years I've known you, this kind of thing does not surprise me at all. You keep popping.
And you're another one that believes in me. I just don't believe half this stuff.
We had a laugh when you came to the Cocoa charity ball. We showed the picture, and then they put a LinkedIn post up. And there you are, picture of you in it. It's,
I know that didn't surprise you, did you? Yeah, of course. And
then I think 150 people there, and they don't know you, but there you are in the picture.
There was a similar one. Do you remember when we were in the World Championships in Samarin or somewhere? And I think you'd message me going, "Oh, look, you're on the World Triathlon page." So of all the photos of all the days, they picked my picture and put it on. It's like, of course they did. So
it's always
it's almost become a joke now, hasn't it? It's like if there's going to be a picture, it's probably going to be me, isn't it?
Hey, well, good for you, because you got to take the luck where you get it, and take the opportunities where you get it, and you certainly have. And I'm going to pop this up as the last picture, because it's actually the last picture I've got loaded here as we wrap up. But it's the opportunities we all get, isn't it? And if we've been lucky enough to be blessed with certain kind of capabilities, and you've obviously got many from your professional through to your hobbies, and it's just about making the most of that, and making the most of all the people we meet along the way, isn't it?
I do feel lucky. I think there's a lot of love involved, and I think we do make a lot of our luck. I invest a lot in people, and I'm lucky enough that I get that invested back in me. That's my friend Katie. She does the aquathlon too. She's doing the triathlon stuff now, and I handed on the baton to her, and we did a little cute post because she was an ambassador the year after with British Triathlon. And yeah, I think I'd mentioned with you, like with my job, I just help nurture and believe in people. And it's so weird how this elite sport that we're doing and the mindset is so similar to what I do in my day-to-day job as well. So I feel very lucky that it all links in together. And I just think that teamwork and looking after each other is just the way that we're all going to get by, isn't it? And we are lucky that we've got each other, and that we all invest so much into it.
Exactly. Helly, we've talked about things we were planning to talk about. We've talked about things we weren't planning to talk about. They just came up. Absolutely fascinating things around hyperfocus neurodiversity, which wasn't on the plan at all, just happened, but very, very interesting. And then also just a huge insight into your journey and all the things you've done, many of which I didn't actually know. So that was also very interesting. And now it's there for folks to learn a bit more about you too. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on here. I knew at some point when I started this that you would be a guest along the way. I'm glad that I finally knuckled you down. You played a little bit hard to get for a bit.
You asked me enough times. I was like, okay, let's do this.
You did play a bit of avoidance tactics until I kind of cornered you and got you tied in. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been really good to talk to you. And I'll see you again somewhere on the network.
See you very soon. Yeah, I did it for you because we are good friends, and you've looked after me, and we look after each other. But yeah, I think we'll be friends for a long time. I hope so. Anyway.
Talk to you soon. Okay. Thank you, Helly. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.